Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
A small cut. Cut a nick into. Cut slightly, with a razor. The barber's knife nicked his cheek. An impression in a surface, as made by a blow. British slang, a prison. He's in the nick. Divide or reset the tail muscles of. Nick horses. Mate successfully, of livestock. A small cut. The location in a range of mountains of a geological formation that is lower than the surrounding peaks. A V-shaped indentation. Mandibular notch. A V-shaped or U-shaped indentation carved or scratched into a surface. There were 4 notches in the handle of his revolver. Cut or make a notch into. Notch the rope. Notch a surface to record something. A small cut. Cut slightly, with a razor. A glancing contact with the ball off the edge of the cricket bat. Hit a glancing blow with the edge of the bat. The act of chipping something. A small disc-shaped counter used to represent money when gambling. Electronic equipment consisting of a small crystal of a silicon semiconductor fabricated to carry out a number of electronic functions in an integrated circuit. A mark left after a small piece has been chopped or broken off of something. Golf. A low-running approach shot. A piece of dried bovine dung. Break off. A piece from a hole. Her tooth chipped. A thin crisp slice of potato fried in deep fat. Cut a nick into. A small fragment of something broken off from the hole. Break a small piece off from. Chip the glass. A triangular wooden float attached to the end of a log line. Form by chipping. They chipped their names in the stone. Play a chip shot. A depression scratched or carved into a surface. Make a depression into. The bicycle dented my car. An impression in a surface, as made by a blow. An appreciable consequence, especially a lessening. It made a dent in my bank account. Go, ding dong, like a bell. An impression in a surface, as made by a blow. A ringing sound. Make a groove in. Force with the thumb. Gouge out his eyes. Obtain by coercion or intimidation. An impression in a surface, as made by a blow. An edge tool with a blade like a trough for cutting channels or grooves. The act of gouging. An excerpt cut from a newspaper or magazine. The act of penetrating or opening open with a sharp edge. The activity of selecting the scenes to be shown and putting them together to create a film. The act of diluting something. The cutting of whiskey with water. The act of cutting something into parts. His cutting of the cake made a terrible mess. A part, sometimes a root or leaf or bud, removed from a plant to propagate a new plant through rooting or grafting. Of speech, harsh or hurtful in tone or character. Cutting remarks. The act of shortening something by chopping off the ends. Painful as if caused by a sharp instrument. A cutting wind. Removing parts from hard material to create a desired pattern or shape. The division of a deck of cards before dealing. The cutting of the cards soon became a ritual. Unpleasantly cold and damp. A piece cut off from the main part of something. The omission that is made when an editorial change shortens a written passage. Weed out unwanted or unnecessary things. We had to lose weight, so we cut the sugar from our diet. Cut down on. Make a reduction in. The employer wants to cut back health benefits. The act of penetrating or opening open with a sharp edge. His cut in the lining revealed the hidden jewels. Made neat and tidy by trimming. In baseball, a batter's attempt to hit a pitched ball. He took a vicious cut at the ball. Used of rates or prices, reduced usually sharply. Lessen the strength or flavor of a solution or mixture. Cut bourbon. Cut and assemble the components of. Cut recording tape. Used of grass or vegetation, cut down with a hand implement or machine. Reduce in scope while retaining essential elements. The act of cutting something into parts. His cuts were skillful. Refuse to acknowledge. She cut him dead at the meeting. Turn sharply. Change direction abruptly. The car cut to the left at the intersection. Be able to manage or manage successfully. She could not cut the long days in the office. Mixed with water. Sold cut whiskey. A refusal to recognize someone you know. The act of shortening something by chopping off the ends. The barber gave him a good cut. Sports. A stroke that puts reverse spin on the ball. Cuts do not bother a good tennis player. Style and tailor in a certain fashion. Cut a dress. With parts removed. The drastically cut film. A wound made by cutting. He put a bandage over the cut. Create by duplicating data. Cut a disk. Cease, stop. Cut the noise. Cut off the testicles, of male animals such as horses. A piece of meat that has been cut from an animal carcass. Make out an issue. Cut a ticket. A trench resembling a furrow that was made by erosion or excavation. A remark capable of wounding mentally. The unkindest cut of all. Intentionally fail to attend. Cut class. A distinct selection of music from a recording or a compact disc. He played the first cut on the CD. The division of a deck of cards before dealing. He insisted that we give him the last cut before every deal. Of a male animal, having the testicles removed. A cut horse. Cause to stop operating by disengaging a switch. Cut the engine. A canal made by erosion or excavation. Allow incision or separation. This bread cuts easily. An unexcused absence from class. He was punished for taking too many cuts in his math class. A share of the profits. Everyone got a cut of the earnings. A step on some scale. He is a cut above the rest. Discharge from a group. The coach cut 2 players from the team. Dissolve by breaking down the fat of. Soap cuts grease. Divide a deck of cards at random into 2 parts to make selection difficult. Wane cut. Fashioned or shaped by cutting. A well-cut suit. Fell by sawing, hew. The Vietnamese cut a lot of timber while they occupied Cambodia. Film. An immediate transition from one shot to the next. The cut from the accident scene to the hospital seemed too abrupt. Form by probing, penetrating, or digging. Cut a hole. Form or shape by cutting or incising. Cut paper dolls. Function as a cutting instrument. This knife cuts well. Give the appearance or impression of. Cut a nice figure. Grow through the gums. The new tooth is cutting. Have a reducing effect. This cuts into my earnings. Have grow through the gums. The baby cut a tooth. Hit a ball with a spin so that it turns in the opposite direction. Cut a ping-pong ball. Make an abrupt change of image or sound. Cut from one scene to another. Make an incision or separation. Cut along the dotted line. Make a recording of. Cut the songs. Move one's fist. His opponent cut upward toward his chin. Pass directly and often in haste. We cut through the neighbor's yard to get home sooner. Pass through or across. The boat cut the water. Penetrate injuriously. The glass from the shattered windshield cut into her forehead. Perform or carry out. Cut a caper. Reap or harvest. Cut grain. Record a performance on a medium. Cut a record. Separated into parts or laid open or penetrated with a sharp edge or instrument. The cut surface was modeled. Separate with or as if with an instrument. Shorten as if by severing the edges or ends of. Cut my hair. Stop filming. Cut a movie scene. The act of reducing the amount or number. The mayor proposed extensive cuts in the city budget. The style in which a garment is cut. A dress of traditional cut. Of pages of a book, having the folds of the leaves trimmed or slit. The cut pages of the book. A mark or flaw that spoils the appearance of something, especially on a person's body. Make imperfect. Nothing marred her beauty. The month following February and preceding April. Destroy or injure severely. Desert. A cause, a country or an army, often in order to join the opposing cause, country, or army. A mark or flaw that spoils the appearance of something, especially on a person's body. An imperfection in an object or machine. If there are any defects, you should send it back to the manufacturer. A failing or deficiency. That interpretation is an unfortunate defect of our lack of information. An imperfection in a bodily system. Visual defects. A mark or flaw that spoils the appearance of something, especially on a person's body. A facial blemish. Add a flaw or blemish to, make imperfect or defective. Mar or spoil the appearance of. Mar or impair with a flaw. Her face was blemished. A correctional institution where persons are confined while on trial or for punishment. A prison-like situation, a place of seeming confinement. A correctional institution where persons are confined while on trial or for punishment. A prison-like situation, a place of seeming confinement. Insert words into texts, often falsifying it thereby. Cause to change, make different, cause a transformation. The advent of the automobile may have altered the growth pattern of the city. Become different in some particular way, without permanently losing one's or its former characteristics or essence. Remove the ovaries of. Make an alteration to. This dress needs to be altered. Lay aside, abandon, or leave for another. The car changed lanes. Cause to change, make different, cause a transformation. The discussion has changed my thinking about the issue. Exchange or replace with another, usually of the same kind or category. He changed his name. An event that occurs when something passes from one state or phase to another. The change was intended to increase sales. Become different in some particular way, without permanently losing one's or its former characteristics or essence. Her mood changes in accordance with the weather. Give to, and receive from, one another. Would you change places with me? Become deeper in tone. His voice began to change when he was 12 years old. Change from one vehicle or transportation line to another. She changed in Chicago on her way to the East Coast. A difference that is usually pleasant. It is a refreshing change to meet a woman mechanic. A different or fresh set of clothes. She brought a change in her overnight bag. A relational difference between states, especially between states before and after some event. He attributed the change to their marriage. A thing that is different. He inspected several changes before selecting one. Change clothes. Put on different clothes. Coins of small denomination regarded collectively. He had a pocketful of change. Money received in return for its equivalent in a larger denomination or a different currency. He got change for a 20 and used it to pay the taxi driver. Remove or replace the coverings of. Father had to learn how to change the baby. The action of changing something. The change of government had no impact on the economy. The balance of money received when the amount you tender is greater than the amount due. I paid with a 20 and pocketed the change. The result of alteration or modification. There were marked changes in the lining of the lungs. Undergo a change. Become different in essence, losing one's or its original nature. She changed completely as she grew older. Cause to change. Make different, Cause a transformation. Add a modifier to a constituent. Make less severe or harsh or extreme. Please modify this letter to make it more polite. Engage in sexual intercourse. The officer below the master on a commercial ship. A person's partner in marriage. A chess move constituting an inescapable and indefensible attack on the opponent's king. One of a pair. He lost the mate to his shoe. South American holly. Leaves used in making a drink like tea. Place an opponent's king under an attack from which it cannot escape and thus ending the game. Kasparov checkmated his opponent after only a few moves. A fellow member of a team. It was his first start against his former teammates. Engage in sexual intercourse. Birds mate in the spring. Bring two objects, ideas, or people together. An exact duplicate. Informal term for a friend of the same sex. South American tea-like drink made from leaves of a South American holly called mate. The partner of an animal, especially a sexual partner. He loved the mare and all her mates. A set of two similar things considered as a unit. Arrange in pairs. Two items of the same kind. Form a pair or pairs. The two old friends paired off. Engage in sexual intercourse. Occur in pairs. Bring two objects, ideas, or people together. The student was paired with a partner for collaboration on the project. A poker hand with two cards of the same value. Two people considered as a unit. Linked together. Can we couple these proposals? Two items of the same kind. A pair who associate with one another. The engaged couple. Form a pair or pairs. A pair of people who live together. A married couple from Chicago. Engage in sexual intercourse. Bring two objects, ideas, or people together. This fact is coupled to the other one. A small indefinite number. He's coming for a couple of days. Physics. Something joined by two equal and opposite forces that act along parallel lines. Turn up, loosen, or remove earth. Remove, harvest, or recover by digging. Dig salt. The site of an archaeological exploration. They set up camp next to the dig. An aggressive remark directed at a person like a missile and intended to have a telling effect. She takes a dig at me every chance she gets. The act of touching someone suddenly with your finger or elbow. She gave me a sharp dig in the ribs. Remove the inner part or the core of. The act of digging. Create by digging. Dig a hole. Get the meaning of something. Poke or thrust abruptly. Work hard. She was digging away at her math homework. A small gouge, as in the cover of a book. The book was in good condition except for a dig in the back cover. Thrust down or into. Dig the oars into the water. A monarchy in northwestern Europe occupying most of the British Isles, divided into England and Scotland and Wales and Northern Ireland. Great Britain is often used loosely to refer to the United Kingdom. A monarchy in northwestern Europe occupying most of the British Isles, divided into England and Scotland and Wales and Northern Ireland. Great Britain is often used loosely to refer to the United Kingdom. An island comprising England and Scotland and Wales. A monarchy in northwestern Europe occupying most of the British Isles, divided into England and Scotland and Wales and Northern Ireland. Great Britain is often used loosely to refer to the United Kingdom. A monarchy in northwestern Europe occupying most of the British Isles, divided into England and Scotland and Wales and Northern Ireland. Great Britain is often used loosely to refer to the United Kingdom. A monarchy in northwestern Europe occupying most of the British Isles, divided into England and Scotland and Wales and Northern Ireland. Great Britain is often used loosely to refer to the United Kingdom. A monarchy in northwestern Europe occupying most of the British Isles, divided into England and Scotland and Wales and Northern Ireland. Great Britain is often used loosely to refer to the United Kingdom.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.